The gunfire stopped, but Selim's ears still rang. She should run. Every survival instinct her mother had drilled into her screamed, "Go, go, go!" Back to her car, back to her tiny apartment, back to the safe, small life she'd promised herself after leaving nursing school. But her feet wouldn't move, because slumped against the lobby wall, surrounded by shattered glass and spreading blood, was a man holding 2 car seats. The babies inside were screaming. His suit, expensive, black, now soaked crimson, clung to a frame that was all lean muscle and sharp angles. One hand pressed against his side where blood pulsed between his fingers. The other gripped the car seats like a lifeline, his body curved protectively over the infants, even as his head lolled. Then his eyes opened, dark, dangerous, focused on her with an intensity that stole her breath. "Gwenchana," he rasped to the babies, voice shredding. The Korean word meant nothing to Selim, but the tone, desperate, soothing, meant everything. It's okay, but it wasn't okay. Nothing about this was okay. Selim's nursing training, 2 years before she dropped out, before the money ran out, before her father died and she became her family's only hope, kicked in before her brain caught up. Pressure on wound. Check airway. Move. "Can you walk?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. He nodded once, jaw clenched white. She didn't see the bodies behind the reception desk, didn't notice the tiger tattoo on his wrist when she hauled him up, his weight nearly buckling her knees, didn't recognize the symbol of Seoul's most feared crime family. She just saw a father who'd taken bullets protecting his children. She'd always been terrible at leaving people behind. Her ancient Hyundai sat in the loading zone, delivery bag still on the passenger seat. She'd been coming here for a late-night order, luxury apartment, good tip, money she desperately needed. Now she shoved the bag into the back, settled the car seats, and guided the bleeding man into the passenger side. He moved like every step cost him, but he didn't make a sound. The babies wouldn't stop screaming. Selim's hands shook as she started the engine. Hospital. She should take him to a hospital, but gunshot wounds meant police, and police meant questions she couldn't answer, and the medical supplies in her trunk, stolen from her hospital cleaning job, technically illegal, would mean deportation. She drove to her apartment instead. The man passed out somewhere on the highway. His head lolled against the window, breath fogging the glass in shallow bursts. One of the babies, the girl, based on the pink onesie, shrieked with a fury that suggested she knew something was terribly wrong. The boy just stared at Selim in the rearview mirror with dark, serious eyes that looked far too old for an infant. "Aizosh," Selim whispered in Amharic, the language of her childhood, her father's comfort when she'd scraped her knees or failed a test. "Don't worry. Egziabher yimesgen. Thank God you're alive." But Selim had no idea that saving one bleeding stranger would pull her into a world where mercy was weakness and love was a death sentence. If you want to see what happens when an Ethiopian delivery driver becomes the most dangerous man in Seoul's only weakness, you'll want to stay with us. This story isn't over. It's only just beginning. 12 hours earlier, Selim Tades was not having a good day. The alarm screamed at 4 in the morning, dragging her from dreams of home, Addis Ababa's morning coffee, her father's laugh, a time when she'd believed nursing school would save her family from poverty. She slapped the phone silent and stared at the water-stained ceiling of her Gosiwon, the shoebox apartment that cost half her delivery earnings and still smelled like mold. Her phone buzzed, a video call from her mother. Selim answered, angling the camera to hide the cramped space. Her mother's face filled the screen. Ababek Tades, lines carved deep by grief and sun, grey hair wrapped in white nettler cloth, eyes sharp as a hawk's. "Selim, you look thin. Are you eating?" "Yes, Imaye." The lie came easily. She'd skipped dinner to send extra money home last month. "Your brother got into university." Her mother's voice swelled with pride, then deflated. "The tuition," Selim's stomach dropped. University meant fees, books, housing, thousands of dollars she didn't have. How much? Her mother named a figure that made Salam's vision blur. I told him we would find a way. You're doing so well in Korea. I'll send it, Salam heard herself say. She had no idea how, but she'd promised her father, the day before he died of a treatable illness they couldn't afford to treat, that she'd take care of them. Tell Jonas congratulations. After the call ended, Selim sat in the dark and did math that didn't work. 2 jobs, hospital cleaner by day, delivery driver by night. And it still wasn't enough. She'd been saving for her own nursing school tuition, the classes she'd had to abandon in Addis when her father got sick. Those savings were gone now. She dragged herself to the hospital for her cleaning shift. The supervisor, a Korean woman who called Salam the African girl instead of learning her name, yelled about streaks on the floor. A doctor's hand lingered too long on Salam's lower back when he passed. She stepped away, said nothing. Immigrants who complained about harassment got fired, and fired immigrants got deported. By the time her delivery app pinged at 9 p.m., Selim was operating on coffee and spite. The order was to a luxury high-rise in Gangnam, late-night food for someone who had enough money to pay triple for convenience. She needed the tip. Traffic crawled. Her car made an ominous grinding sound that promised expensive repairs. The restaurant made her wait an extra 15 minutes. By the time she pulled up to the gleaming glass tower, she was 30 minutes late and expected a bad review. The lobby doors were shattered. Selim idled at the curb, delivery bag growing cold on her passenger seat. Maybe it was a robbery. Maybe she should leave. But her phone showed the customer had already paid, tip included. She couldn't afford to lose the money. She grabbed the bag and approached the entrance. That's when she heard the screaming babies. Now, in her apartment with an unconscious criminal bleeding on her floor. Selim wondered what kind of cosmic joke had landed her here. She'd laid him on the cleanest blanket she owned, which wasn't saying much, and peeled back his jacket. The bullet had gone through his side, missing major organs if she remembered her anatomy correctly. Through and through, she could work with that. The medical supplies in her apartment were a patchwork of theft and charity. Gauze from the hospital, antibiotics a sympathetic doctor had accidentally left in a supply room, surgical tape she'd pocketed during a particularly cruel shift. She cleaned the wounds, front and back, and packed them with pressure dressings. Her hands moved with muscle memory from nursing school, from the clinical rotations where she'd been good at this, where professors had said she had the touch. The babies screamed the entire time, when she'd done everything she could for the man. Selim turned to the car seats. The girl's face was red with fury, tiny fists waving. The boy watched her with that same unnerving focus, like he was memorizing her face for later. Selim had never been good with babies. She was the oldest sibling. She'd raised her brothers and sister, but they'd been past the infant stage by the time she was old enough to remember. Still, instinct took over. She unbuckled the girl first, lifted her with careful hands, and held her against her chest. The screaming stopped. Just like that, the baby burrowed into Selim's neck, tiny body shuddering with leftover sobs, and went quiet. Selim blinked, shifted the girl to one arm and reached for the boy. He came willingly, solemn and watchful, and settled against her other shoulder. For the first time in hours, the apartment was silent, except for her racing heartbeat. Selim looked down at the man on her floor. He was unconscious still, chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Up close, she could see he was younger than she'd thought. Early 30s, maybe. Sharp features, pale skin that looked grey with blood loss, dark hair falling across his forehead. Handsome, in a dangerous sort of way. The kind of man her mother would tell her to run from. His watch was a Rolex. His suit, even blood-soaked, was tailored. The leather wallet in his jacket held a stack of bills that made her monthly rent look like pocket change. What kind of businessman got shot? One of the babies, the boy, started fussing. Selim had no formula, no bottles, no diapers. She had nothing, but she improvised with powdered milk from her cupboard, a cleaned-out water bottle, and a cloth diaper fashioned from a torn t-shirt. It wasn't good, but it was something. She fed them, changed them, sang softly in Amharic, the lullabies her father used to sing, and watched them drift into fitful sleep. Then she positioned herself against the wall, a baby on each arm, and tried not to think about what she'd done. She'd brought a gunshot victim to her home. She'd stolen medical supplies. She was harboring someone who might be a criminal, but when she looked at those tiny faces, peaceful now in sleep, she couldn't regret it. The man woke at dawn. Selim had dozed off upright, neck screaming in protest, and jerked awake when she heard movement. He was trying to sit up, face contorting with pain. His hand went to his side, found the bandages, and his eyes snapped to her. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. "Who are you?" His voice was rough, but his English was good, accented, but clear. "The person who saved your life," Selim said. The babies were still asleep, impossibly, and she didn't want to wake them. "Don't move, you'll tear the stitches." He glanced around her apartment, taking in the water-stained walls, the hot plate that served as her kitchen, the single window with the broken blind. Then his gaze landed on the twins in her arms. Something in his expression cracked. "Are they hurt?" The question came out desperate. "They're fine. Hungry, scared, but fine." Selim shifted, and the movement woke the girl, who immediately started whimpering. "I don't have proper supplies. They need formula, diapers. I'll get them." He tried to stand, made it halfway before his legs gave out. Selim caught him with one arm, impressive considering she was still holding a baby, and guided him back down. "You need to rest. You lost a lot of blood." "I need to—" He stopped, looked at her again, really looked. "You brought me here, to your home. You were dying. You should have left me." The flatness in his voice made Selim's skin prickle. This wasn't gratitude. This was someone assessing a problem. "Well, I didn't," she said. "So now you're here, and these babies need care, and you need to tell me what happened so I know whether to expect more men with guns at my door." His jaw tightened. "What's your name?" "Salam." "Salam," he repeated, like he was testing the weight of it. "I'm Kang Ji-hoon, and you need to stay away from me." Bit late for that. The ghost of a smile crossed his face, there and gone. "I'm a businessman. Wrong place, wrong time. Those men were—" "Don't lie to me." Selim's voice was sharp. She'd grown up poor, not stupid. "Businessmen don't get shot in luxury lobbies. Businessmen don't move like you move, and businessmen don't have that look in their eyes." Ji-hoon went very still. "What look?" "Like you're deciding whether I'm a threat you need to eliminate." Silence stretched between them. The baby girl started crying in earnest now, and Selim stood, bouncing her gently. The motion that had worked before, magic before, worked again, and the crying quieted to hiccups. Ji-hoon watched with an expression Selim couldn't read. "Their mother?" she asked quietly. "Dead, 8 months ago." The words were flat, emotionless, but Selim heard what lived beneath them. Grief, guilt. The same tone she'd used when telling people her father was gone. "I'm sorry," she said. "Don't be." Ji-hoon's phone buzzed on the floor. It had been buzzing all night, and Selim had ignored it. He picked it up, saw the screen, and his expression went cold. 47 missed calls. "I need to leave. It's not safe for you if I stay." "You can't walk." "I'll manage." "And the babies?" That stopped him. He looked at the twins, the boy watching him with those serious eyes, the girl nestled against Selim's shoulder, and something human flickered across his face before the mask slammed back down. "I'll find a nanny," he said. "You can barely stand." The girl started screaming, not crying, screaming, the sound of a baby who'd had enough of the world and wanted everyone to know. Selim tried the bouncing, the shushing, the soft singing. Nothing worked. The boy joined in, a harmony of infant fury. Ji-hoon struggled to his feet, swaying, and reached for his daughter. The moment he touched her, she screamed louder. Salam watched him try, watched this dangerous man with the cold eyes gentle his hands, soften his voice, whisper, Gwenchana, over and over. But the baby wouldn't calm, neither would the boy. They were building to a crescendo that would wake the neighbours, and Selim's lease was already precarious. She took the girl back, held her close, hummed the Amharic lullaby. Silence. Ji-hoon stared. How did you— I don't know. Selam shifted the girl to one arm and picked up the boy, who immediately settled. They just— respond to me. Ji-hoon's phone buzzed again. He looked at it, then at her, then at his children peaceful in her arms. 1 week, he said finally. Stay with them for 1 week. I'll pay you. Whatever you need. Salam should say no, should run, should put as much distance as possible between herself and this man who radiated danger like heat. But the babies— 1 week, she agreed. Then you're gone. Ji-hoon's hand covered hers where it rested on his daughter's back. His touch was warm, careful, nothing like the violence she'd expected. Goma woyo, he whispered. Thank you. The touch lingered. His eyes met hers, dark and intense and desperate in a way that made her breath catch. Then he pulled away, and the moment broke. Selam told herself the shiver that ran down her spine was fear. She told herself a lot of lies that first day. 3 days passed in a strange domestic rhythm. Ji-hoon's wound was healing, faster than it should, which made Salam suspect this wasn't his first bullet, but he was still weak. He slept on her floor, insisted on it despite her offers to take the ground herself. The twins slept in their car seats because Selam had nothing else, and she catnapped between their feedings. During the day, while Ji-hoon rested, Selam taught him the basics of infant care. You have to support the head, she explained, demonstrating with the girl. Seo-yeon, he'd finally told her, and the boy was Min-jun. Like this. Ji-hoon's hands were large and scarred, completely wrong for holding something so small. But he tried, awkward and careful, and Seo-yeon immediately began fussing. Salam bit back a laugh. She's not fragile. Hold her like you mean it. I might hurt her. You won't. But Seo-yeon escalated to wailing, and Ji-hoon's expression shuttered. He handed her back to Selam, who soothed the baby with practiced ease. They hate me, Ji-hoon said quietly. They don't hate you. They just don't know you yet. I'm their father. You're a stranger who smells like antiseptic and fear. Babies sense that. Selam passed Seo-yeon back. Try again, and breathe. This time, Ji-hoon relaxed incrementally. Seo-yeon fussed, but didn't scream. Min-jun watched from Salam's arms, solemn as always. Tell them about their mother, Selam suggested, in Korean. Let them hear your voice as something other than stress. Ji-hoon hesitated. Then, haltingly, he began speaking in Korean. Salam didn't understand the words, but she heard the music of them, the rise and fall, the gentling. Ji-hoon's expression softened as he spoke, some of the cold mask melting away, and Seo-yeon's crying quieted to hiccups. When he finished, there were tears on his face he didn't seem to notice. What did you say? Salam asked softly. That their mother was brave, beautiful, that she loved them more than anything. His voice was rough. That I'm sorry I wasn't there when she needed me. Selam's throat tightened. She knew that guilt, the kind that came from being too late, from failing the people you loved. She'd carried it since her father's death. You're here now, she said. Ji-hoon looked at her like she'd offered him something precious and impossible. Then his phone rang, the 40th time that day, and the mask slammed back into place. He answered in Korean, rapid and harsh. Selam caught the word Hyungnim, repeated by the voice on the other end. Some kind of title, maybe. Ji-hoon's responses were clipped, cold. When he hung up, his expression was unreadable. I need to move you, he said. What? My people found you. This address, it's not safe anymore. He was already standing, though the movement made him wince. Pack what you need. We're leaving in an hour. You can't just— I can. His tone left no room for argument. And I will, because if they found you, Others will too. You saved my life, Selam. I won't let that get you killed. Before Selam could respond, there was a knock at her door. Ji-hoon moved faster than someone with a bullet wound should be able to, positioning himself between Selam and the door. His hand went to his waistband, where, she realized with a jolt, he'd tucked a gun. Where had he gotten a gun? Who is it? Selam called. Delivery, a male voice responded in Korean accented English. Ji-hoon's shoulders relaxed fractionally. He opened the door to reveal a young man in an expensive suit, mid-20s, boyish face that didn't match the calculating eyes. He took in the scene, Ji-hoon, half-heeled and armed, Selam holding two babies, the cramped apartment. Hyung-nim, the man said carefully. Your father is looking for you. Tell him I'm alive. He knows. He's displeased you disappeared. The young man's gaze shifted to Selam, and she felt herself being assessed, catalogued, filed away. And he wants to know who she is. Nobody, Ji-hoon said flatly. The young man's expression suggested he didn't believe that for a second. There are cars downstairs. I'll take you somewhere safe. Not her. Just me and the children. Hyung-nim, Min Seok. Ji-hoon's voice went hard. Not her. Min Seok, apparently that was his name, looked at Selam again. Something in his expression shifted. The children wouldn't stop crying until she held them, did they? Ji-hoon didn't answer. Then she comes, Min Seok said, because you'll need her, and we both know it. The penthouse was a cage wrapped in luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline. Marble floors, designer furniture, art that probably cost more than Selam's entire life savings, and guards, silent men in suits stationed at every entrance, watching everything. Selam stood in the center of the living room, holding both twins, and felt like she'd stepped into a different universe. This is temporary, Ji-hoon said. He looked exhausted, the move having cost him, until I secure something better. Better than this? Selam gestured at the obscene wealth surrounding them. Safer than this. Min Seok was directing other men to bring in supplies. Formula, diapers, cribs, more baby items than two infants could possibly need. He approached Selam with a slight bow. I'm Park Min Seok, he said in careful English. I work for Kang Si. If you need anything, I need to understand what's happening. Selam's voice was sharper than she'd intended. Who are you people? Why are there guards? Why did someone shoot at Ji-hoon? Min Seok glanced at Ji-hoon, who shook his head minutely. Business rivals, Min Seok said smoothly. Nothing for you to worry about. I'm holding his children in a fortified penthouse. I'm worried. Miss Selam, my name is Selam Tades, and I'm not an idiot. She looked at Ji-hoon, who was watching her with that unreadable expression. If I'm going to be here, I deserve the truth. You deserve to be safe, Ji-hoon said. The truth doesn't help with that. The truth is, I brought a stranger into my home, and now I'm in his home and I don't even know who he really is. Selam's hands were shaking, she realized. The adrenaline of the last 3 days was wearing off, leaving exhaustion and fear. So, tell me, please. Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in Korean to Min Seok, who bowed and left. When they were alone as they could be with guards outside and babies in her arms, Ji-hoon sat down heavily on the leather couch. I told you I'm a businessman, he said. That's technically true. My family runs enterprises, import, export, real estate, entertainment. Legal enterprises? His smile was bitter. Some of them. Selam's stomach dropped. You're a criminal. I'm a lot of things, most of them not good. Then why did I save you? The question came out broken. Because you saw a father with his children, and you have a hero complex. Ji-hoon's gaze was steady. You can leave, Selam. I'll have Min Seok take you home. You'll never see me again. Seo-yeon chose that moment to start fussing. Not crying, just making the small sounds that meant she was uncomfortable. Selam adjusted her hold automatically, and the baby settled. They need me, Selam said quietly. I'll find a nanny. They need me. She looked at him, this dangerous man who'd somehow become responsible for her in just 3 days. 1 week. You promised I'm staying 1 week. Relief crossed Ji-hoon's face. There and gone. 1 week. But they both knew it was already a lie. The week stretched into 2, then 3. Salam told herself it was for the babies. Seo-yeon still wouldn't settle for anyone else, and Min-jun had started reaching for her with grabby hands that made her heart melt. But late at night, when Ji-hoon sat with her while she fed the twins, teaching her Korean words in that low, careful voice, she knew it was more than that. She was falling, and falling for a criminal was the stupidest thing she could do. Gigyu, Ji-hoon said, pointing to the diaper, and uyu is milk. Gigyu, Selam repeated. Her pronunciation was terrible, based on his barely suppressed smile. Uyu. Better. He was healing well now, moving without wincing, though he still kept a gun within reach at all times. Tomorrow I'll teach you how to swear. Why would I need to swear in Korean? In case my father visits. Salam had heard about Ji-hoon's father in fragments, the patriarch of whatever criminal enterprise the Kang family ran, apparently terrifying enough that grown men flinched at his name. She wasn't eager to meet him. Does he know about me? She asked. Ji-hoon's expression darkened. Min-sok is keeping it quiet, for now. Will that work? No, at least he was honest. Selam shifted Min-jun to her other arm. He'd fallen asleep mid-bottle, milk-drunk and peaceful. What happens when he finds out? Nothing good. Ji-hoon reached over, carefully taking his son. Min-jun stirred but didn't wake. Tiny fist curling against Ji-hoon's chest. The tenderness in Ji-hoon's expression made Salam's breath catch. But I'll handle it. You won't be hurt. You can't promise that. I can. I will. His eyes met hers, fierce and certain. You saved my life, Selam. That means something. What does it mean? That you're under my protection. Anyone who touches you answers to me. It should have sounded like a threat. Instead, it sounded like a vow. Selam looked away first, heat creeping up her neck. This was dangerous, this pull between them, this intimacy built on late nights and shared baby duty and words in languages neither fully understood. She was here temporarily. She had to remember that. Her phone buzzed, a message from her mother. Did you send the money? Jonas needs to register for classes. Selam's stomach twisted. She'd been staying in Ji-hoon's penthouse, caring for his children, and she hadn't worked in weeks. No delivery shifts, no hospital cleaning. She had nothing to send. What's wrong? Ji-hoon had noticed her expression. Nothing. Family stuff. Tell me. It's not your problem. Selam. His voice was gentle but immovable. Tell me. So she did. Told him about her father's death, about dropping out of nursing school, about working 2 jobs to send money home, about her brother's university tuition that she'd promised to cover and had no way to pay. When she finished, Ji-hoon was quiet. How much? He asked finally. I'm not asking you for money. How much? Selam named the figure. Watched his expression not change at all. That amount, life-altering for her, was pocket change to him. I'll transfer it tonight, he said. No. Selam, I said no. She stood, needing distance. I'm not here as your charity case. I'm here because the babies need care. And then I'm leaving and I don't want to owe you anything. Ji-hoon stood too, and suddenly the space between them felt charged. It's not charity. You're taking care of my children. Let me take care of this. That's not how it works. Why not? Because accepting help felt like failure, because she'd promised her father she'd be strong enough to save everyone, because if she let Ji-hoon give her money, what did that make her? Because I don't even know you. You know me better than anyone. The words hung in the air between them. Selam wanted to argue, but couldn't. She knew how he took his coffee, black, too hot. Standing at the window, she knew he had nightmares about his wife's death and woke at 3 a.m. checking on the babies. She knew he was trying to be a better father than whoever had raised him and failing and trying anyway. Ji-hoon. He closed the distance between them. Didn't touch her, but stood close enough that she could feel his warmth, see the exhaustion in his eyes that never quite faded. I've killed people, Selam, he said quietly. I've done things that would make you run, but I'm trying to be better. For them, a glance at the twins. Let me do this one good thing. Paying my brother's tuition isn't going to absolve you. I know, but it might help you, and that's enough. Selam's eyes burned. When was the last time someone had tried to help her? When had she let them? One condition, she said. I pay you back. Every cent. I don't care how long it takes. Ji-hoon smiled. A real smile. Rare and devastating. Deal. He transferred the money that night. Selam's mother called, crying with relief, and Selam lied and said she'd been saving. When she hung up, Ji-hoon was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Thank you, she said quietly. Gwayen chanha. It's okay, but it wasn't okay, because Selam was falling in love with a man who terrified her, and she had no idea how to stop. The first crack in Ji-hoon's carefully constructed walls came on a Tuesday. Selam had been living in the penthouse for a month now, and routines had formed. She woke early with the twins, fed them, played with them, while Ji-hoon disappeared into his office for business. He never explained what that business was, and she'd learned not to ask. In the evenings, he'd emerge, and they'd share dinner, sometimes Korean food that appeared via Minsok's magic, sometimes Ethiopian dishes Selam made from ingredients Ji-hoon ordered without being asked. This particular evening, Selam was attempting to make injera, the spongy flatbread she'd grown up with. The fermented teff batter smelled like home, sour and familiar, and she'd borrowed a non-stick pan to approximate the traditional mitad griddle. Ji-hoon appeared in the kitchen doorway, drawn by the smell. What is that? Dinner, if I can get it right. Selam poured batter in a spiral, watching it bubble. It's not going to be as good as my mother's, but it smells interesting, she laughed. That's Korean for awful, isn't it? No, different. He came closer, watching her work. Teach me. To make injera, this takes days of preparation. The batter has to ferment. Then teach me something else. From your home. Selam glanced at him. He looked tired, more than usual, shadows deep under his eyes. Something had happened today, she could tell, but he wouldn't talk about it. Okay, she said. Coffee ceremony. It's a tradition, making coffee for guests, for family. It's about hospitality, connection, taking time. We have coffee, not like this. She pulled out the Ethiopian coffee beans she'd splurged on last week, a small bag that cost too much but made her feel less alone. First you roast the beans, then you grind them, then you brew them 3 times, each round a different blessing. It takes hours. Hours for coffee. It's not about the coffee, it's about the time together. Selam met his eyes. But we can just make it the fast way if you're busy. Show me, Ji-hoon interrupted. The real way. So she did. Showed him how to roast the beans in a pan until they were fragrant and dark. Ground them by hand while he held Seo-yeon, who watched with fascinated eyes. Brewed the first round, a bowl, the strongest, and served it with small ceremony. Ji-hoon took a sip and made a face. This is terrible. Selam burst out laughing. You're supposed to be polite. You said it was about honesty, connection. But he was smiling and the shadows had lightened. Make the next round less aggressive. The second round, toner, was milder. They drank it sitting on the floor by the window, the twins between them playing with soft blocks Min Seok had brought. The city glittered below, indifferent to their small bubble of peace. In Ethiopia, Selam said quietly, we say coffee is a time to solve problems, to talk about what matters. Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. Then, my wife's name was Hae-won. We were married for 3 years. It was arranged. Our families joined forces. She was... He paused. Kind. She didn't love me and I didn't love her, but we respected each other. When she got pregnant, she was happy. I was terrified. Selam stayed silent. letting him speak. The night she died, I was torturing an informant, someone who'd betrayed us to a rival gang. I was good at it, making people talk. Haiwon went into labor early. She called me. I didn't answer. His voice was flat, emotionless. By the time I got to the hospital, she was already gone. The twins were in the NICU. She'd held them once, named them, and then her heart gave out. Ji-hoon, I haven't held them properly since, not until you showed me how, because every time I look at them, I see what I cost them. He finally met her eyes. So when I say you saved my life, I don't just mean the bullet wound. I mean you gave me back my children. Selam's throat was too tight to speak. She reached across the space between them and took his hand, just held it, this connection that was becoming too important, too real. You're not a monster, she whispered. You don't know what I've done. I know what you're trying to do. I know you're learning to make Gaegyu changes and sing lullabies. I know you're trying. She squeezed his hand. That's not nothing. Ji-hoon looked at their joined hands like he'd never seen anything so miraculous. Then he pulled her closer, slow enough that she could pull away, but she didn't, and kissed her. It was soft, careful, a question more than a demand. Selam froze. Every rational thought screamed at her to stop this, to remember who he was, what he did. But his lips were warm and gentle, and when he started to pull away, she followed. The kiss deepened. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb stroking her cheek, and Selam melted into him. This was stupid, dangerous, completely reckless. She didn't care. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-hoon rested his forehead against hers. I shouldn't have done that, he said. Probably not. I can't promise you safety, or a normal life, or anything good. I know. Selam, I know what you are, Ji-hoon. And I'm here anyway. She pulled back enough to meet his eyes. I'm terrified, but I'm here. He kissed her again, and this time there was nothing soft about it. The illusion shattered exactly 3 weeks later. Selam was feeding Seoyeon when she heard raised voices from Ji-hoon's office, Korean, rapid and angry. She didn't speak enough to follow, but she caught her own name, or something like it, and the tone made her skin prickle. The door burst open. An older man strode out, late 50s, expensive suit, silver hair perfectly styled. His face was hard, all sharp angles and cold calculation. Behind him, Ji-hoon looked furious. The man's gaze landed on Selam. She'd never felt so thoroughly assessed and dismissed. His eyes travelled over her skin, her hair, her worn clothes, and his lip curled. This is her, he said in English. Perfect, unaccented English. Abeoji, Ji-hoon started. Silence. The word cracked like a whip. The man, Ji-hoon's father, clearly, approached Selam. She stood, still holding Seoyeon, and refused to back down. You're the one who saved my son. Yes. And you've been living here, caring for my grandchildren. Yes. For how long? 2 months. His expression didn't change. Min-sok, he called. The young man appeared instantly. Pay her, double whatever my son promised, then escort her out. I'm not leaving, Selam said. That got a reaction, one eyebrow rising fractionally. You think you have a choice? The babies need me. The babies need a nanny. Your temporary help that's overstayed. He turned to Ji-hoon. This is why I called this meeting. You're getting attached to an outsider. It's making you weak. She's not an outsider. She's a foreigner, an African. The way he said it made it sound like a slur. And you're parading her in front of my grandchildren like she belongs here. Selam's hands tightened on Seoyeon. The baby sensed her tension and started fussing. Don't talk about her like that, Ji-hoon said, voice dangerous. I'll talk about her however I want. She's nobody, a charity case you picked up because you felt guilty. Ji-hoon's father stepped closer to Selam. How much will it take for you to leave? Name a price. I'm not for sale. Everyone has a price. Then you don't have enough money. For a moment, something like respect flickered in the old man's eyes. Then it was gone. You're playing a game you don't understand, girl. My son isn't some romantic hero. He's a killer. He runs an organization that would crush you without thinking, and you... He looked her up and down again. You're a liability. The moment our enemies find out he cares about you, you're dead. Enough, Ji-hoon said. He moved between Selam and his father. Get out. I'm not finished. Yes, you are. Ji-hoon's voice was cold, flat, every inch the dangerous man his father had described. Selam is under my protection. Touch her, threaten her, even think about her wrong, and I don't care if you're my father. I'll end you. Silence. Ji-hoon's father stared at his son. Then, slowly, he smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. So it's like that, he said. You're in love with her. Ji-hoon didn't answer. You fool. You'll get her killed. You'll get yourself killed. And for what? Someone who can't even understand our language as he switched to Korean, speaking rapidly. Ji-hoon responded in the same language, and whatever he said made his father's expression go thunderous. Finally, the old man turned to leave. At the door, he looked back. 2 months, he said in English, clearly for Salam's benefit. Give her 2 months to enjoy this fantasy. Then reality will come for both of you. He left. The silence he left behind was deafening. Selam sank back onto the couch, legs shaking. Seo-yeon was wailing now, and she tried to soothe her, but her own hands were trembling. Ji-hoon knelt in front of her. Selam, is it true? Her voice came out small. Are you a killer? He didn't lie. Yes. How many people? I stopped counting years ago. She should run, should grab her things and never look back. But when she looked at Ji-hoon, this man who'd been teaching her Korean lullabies, who'd paid her brother's tuition without hesitation, who held his children like they were made of glass, she couldn't reconcile the two versions. Why? She asked. Because it's the only life I've ever known. Because my father raised me to be this. Ji-hoon's expression was bleak. I was 15 the first time. He made me watch an execution, then handed me the gun. Said, if I wouldn't pull the trigger, I wasn't worthy of being his son. So you did. So I did, and I've been doing it ever since. Selam's chest ached. And you can't stop. If I walk away, I'm dead. They don't let people leave this life alive. He met her eyes. But I'm trying to be better, to build something legitimate. It takes time and it's dangerous, but I'm trying. For them. He gestured to the twins. For you. For me, because you look at me like I could be more than what I am, and I want to believe you're right. Selam closed her eyes. This was insane. She was falling in love with a mafia boss who'd just confirmed he was a killer. Her mother would disown her. Her church would condemn her. Everything she'd been raised to believe said this was wrong. But when she opened her eyes and saw Ji-hoon watching her with desperate hope, she made a choice. I'm not leaving, she said. Selam, you heard my father. I'm not leaving, she repeated, stronger now. But I need the truth, all of it. What you do, why you do it, what the danger actually is. No more protecting me with ignorance. Ji-hoon hesitated, then nodded. He told her everything. The truth was worse than she'd imagined. The Kang family controlled territory across Seoul. Gambling, loans, protection rackets, smuggling. They had politicians in their pocket, police on their payroll, judges who ruled in their favor. Ji-hoon, as heir apparent, managed day-to-day operations. That meant collecting debts, enforcing territory lines, and handling threats. Handling, Selam learned, meant killing. The shooting that night, Ji-hoon explained, was a rival gang, Japanese Yakuza trying to expand into our territory. They targeted me specifically, thought killing the heir would destabilize everything. He'd been at a meeting, twins with him because the nanny had quit. I should have had more security. I was careless, and you paid the price. I'm alive. For now, but they know about you now. My father made sure of it, told the other families about my black whore. The words were bitter. He's trying to make me look weak. And in this world, weakness gets you killed. Selam processed this. So what do we do? I keep you protected. Guards, secure locations, limited public appearances. You become invisible again. I don't want to be invisible. You don't have a choice, not if you want to stay alive. Ji-hoon's frustration was palpable. This is why I didn't tell you. Because knowing doesn't help, it just makes you a target. I'd rather be a target who knows the truth than a victim who doesn't see it coming. They stared at each other, an impasse. Finally, Ji-hoon sighed. You're impossibly stubborn. You're impossibly controlling. I'm trying to keep you safe, I know, but you can't protect me by locking me away. Selam shifted Seo-yeon to her other arm. The baby had finally settled, exhausted from crying. We figure this out together. Or not at all. Ji-hoon pulled her close, careful of the baby between them, and kissed her forehead. You're going to get us both killed, probably, and you're staying anyway. Eonategna knew, she said in Amharic. It's true, I'm serious. His smile was small and sad. What did I do to deserve you? Saved 2 babies from a shootout. Everything else followed. But even as she said it, Selam knew things were changing. Ji-hoon's father had drawn a line, the clock was ticking, and sooner or later, reality would come for them. She just didn't know how brutal that reality would be. For 3 weeks, they lived in a fragile bubble. Ji-hoon increased security, more guards, cameras, restricted movement. Selam chafed at the limitations, but understood the necessity. She started learning Korean in earnest, studying during the twins' naps, practicing with Ji-hoon in the evenings. He, in turn, asked her to teach him Amharic. Fikir, she said, pointing to her heart. Love. Fikir, he repeated. His pronunciation was better than her Korean. And how do I say, I love you? Ewedi halehu for a man saying it, uwed shalehu for a woman. Ji-hoon looked at her, something intense in his expression. Ewedi halehu, selam, her breath caught. They'd been dancing around the word for weeks, showing it in actions but never saying it aloud. Hearing it now, in her language, made it real. Ewed shalehu, she whispered back. He kissed her, soft and deep. And Min-jun chose that moment to start fussing, breaking the spell. They laughed and the tension eased, and for a moment, everything felt normal. Then Salam's phone rang. Her mother's face filled the screen. Salam answered, angling the camera away from Ji-hoon. Ime, hi. Selam tadese, why didn't you tell me? Her mother's face was furious. Tell you what? That you're living with a man, that you have children. They're not my children. Jonas told me he saw photos on social media, you holding babies in some luxury apartment. Ababek's voice shook. Who is he? Why are you living there? What happened to my daughter who promised to build a good life? Selam's stomach dropped. Ime, I can explain. Then explain now. There was no good way to do this. Salam glanced at Ji-hoon, who'd gone very still. Then she made a decision. His name is Kang Ji-hoon. He's Korean. The babies are his. His wife died and he needed help. I've been working as a nanny. A nanny who lives with him? It's complicated. Are you in love with this man? Silence. Selam, answer me. Yes, Selam said quietly. I love him. Her mother's expression crumbled. Oh, my daughter, what have you done? He's a good man, Ime. A good man who hides you from your family, who keeps you in some cage. Ababech leaned closer to the camera. I'm coming to Korea next week, and I'm meeting this man, and if I don't like what I see, you're coming home with me. The call ended. Selam sat in silence, phone dead in her hand. Ji-hoon moved to sit beside her. Your mother, he said, is coming here to meet you. Selam laughed, slightly hysterical. She's going to hate you. Most mothers would. She's going to try to take me back to Ethiopia. Will you go? Selam looked at him, really looked, at the man who'd been a stranger 2 months ago and was now everything. No. Even if she asks. Even if she begs. Selam took his hand. I'm choosing you, Jihoon. I'm choosing this, whatever that means. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. Against her hair, he murmured something in Korean she didn't understand. What did you say? That you're braver than anyone I've ever known, and I don't deserve you. Probably not, she agreed, but you're stuck with me anyway. His laugh was quiet and broken. For however long we have. It wasn't a promise of forever, but in their world it was the best they could offer. Ababek Tades arrived on a Tuesday with all the fury of a mother protecting her child. Selam met her at the airport, nervous and excited. It had been almost a year since she'd seen her mother in person, and the sight of Ababek, smaller than Selam remembered, greyer, worn down by years of washing other people's laundry, made her throat tight. Ime, she breathed. Ababek looked her over critically. You've gotten thinner. Are you eating? Yes, Ime. And this man feeds you properly. He's Korean. The food is different, but bring me to him. Now! The drive back to the penthouse was tense. Ababek asked pointed questions. How did you meet? Why are you living with him? What are his intentions? Selam answered as truthfully as she could without mentioning bullets and crime families. By the time they arrived, she was exhausted. Jihoon was waiting in the living room, the twins playing on a mat. He'd dressed carefully, still elegant, but more approachable. When Ababek entered, he stood and bowed slightly. Mrs. Tades, welcome to my home. Ababek didn't return the greeting. She looked around the penthouse, taking in the luxury, the guards visible through the windows, the obvious wealth, and her expression hardened. Where is my daughter sleeping? She has her own room. Show me. Selam led her mother to the guest room she technically stayed in but rarely used. The bed was made, untouched. Ababek saw her daughter's things scattered in the master bedroom across the hall, and her lips thinned. You're living in sin. Ime. Don't! I raised you better than this. Ababek turned to face her. Who is this man really? What does he do? He's in business. What business? Selam couldn't lie to her mother. Import, export, real estate. And the guards, the fortress apartment, the way he moves like a man expecting violence. Ababek wasn't stupid. Tell me the truth, Selam. Before Selam could answer, Seoyeon started crying. Both women turned to see Jihoon trying to soothe his daughter and failing. The baby's wails escalated. Selam moved automatically, scooping Seoyeon up. The crying stopped instantly. The baby nuzzled into her neck, tiny fist gripping her shirt. Ababek watched this with sharp eyes, watched Minjun crawl towards Selam, pulling himself up on her legs, watched Jihoon's expression as he looked at Selam holding his children. How long have you been caring for them? Ababek asked quietly. 3 months, and their mother, dead, childbirth. Ababek was silent for a long moment. Then she turned to Jihoon. You, come with me, we need to talk. Jihoon followed her to the kitchen. Selam stayed with the twins, heart pounding, straining to hear the conversation. My daughter, Ababek said, in careful English, is a good girl. She works hard. She sacrifices everything for her family. And now she's here, in your home, caring for your children. Why? Because they need her, Jihoon said simply. And because I love her. Love? Ababek's voice was skeptical. You're rich. You could hire 10 nannies. Why her? Because she sees me as human, not as what I can provide, or what I'm worth, or what I can do. Just me. He paused. I know I'm not what you want for Selam. I know I'm not a good man, but I'm trying to be better for her, for my children. What do you do that makes you not a good man? I can't tell you that, for your safety and hers. So you're a criminal. Jihoon didn't deny it. Ababek sighed. I'm going to ask you something, and I want the truth. Can you keep my daughter safe? I'll die trying. That's not what I asked. No, Jihoon admitted. I can't promise that. My world is dangerous. She shouldn't be in it, but she refuses to leave and I'm too selfish to make her. At least you're honest. Ababek studied him. She loves you, I can see it. And those babies, they've bonded to her. If I take her back to Ethiopia, she'll be heartbroken. I know. But if I let her stay, she might die. I know that too. So what do I do? Ji-hoon met her eyes. I can't answer that. I'm not a father offering promises and stability. I'm a man asking you to trust me with your daughter's life, knowing I might fail. That's all I have. Ababesh was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that surprised him. Let me make coffee. The proper way. And you'll help me. The coffee ceremony took 3 hours. Ababesh directed Ji-hoon through each step, roasting the beans, grinding them by hand, brewing the 3 rounds while Salam watched with wide eyes. Her mother, notorious for her sharp tongue and even sharper judgments, was teaching Ji-hoon an Ethiopian tradition. During the Abel, the first and strongest brew, Ababesh asked about his children. Ji-hoon spoke haltingly about Hayewon, about his failures as a father, about how Selam had taught him what love looked like. During the toner, the second round, she asked about his family. He told her about his father's cruelty, the life he'd been forced into, the empire he was trying to escape. During the Barika, the final round, she asked about his intentions. I want to marry her, Ji-hoon said quietly, if she'll have me. If you'll allow it. Ababesh looked at Selam across the room. Her daughter was singing to Minjun in Amharic, the lullaby Abebek had sung to all her children. The baby watched her with adoring eyes. You're not what I wanted for her, Abebek said finally. I wanted her to marry a good Ethiopian man, a Christian, someone safe. I understand, but I see how you look at her like she's the only thing keeping you human. Ababesh poured the barika into small cups, and I see how she looks at you like you're worth saving. I'm not. That's for her to decide, not you. She handed him a cup. I won't give you my blessing, but I won't take her away either. She's a grown woman. Her choice is her own. It wasn't approval, but it wasn't rejection. Ji-hoon bowed his head. Gomawoyo. Don't thank me in Korean. Thank me by keeping her alive. Ababech's eyes were hard. Because if anything happens to my daughter, I will find you. I don't care what kind of monster you are. I will find you. I believe you. Good. That night, after Ababech had gone to sleep in the guest room and the twins were down, Selam found Ji-hoon on the balcony. She likes you, Selam said, sliding into his arms. She threatened to kill me. Same thing in her language. Selam tilted her head up. What did you tell her during the barika? That I want to marry you. Selam's breath caught. Ji-hoon, not now, not while things are like this, but someday, when I've made things safer, when I can give you a life that isn't hiding in penthouses. He cupped her face. Someday, Selam Tades, I'm going to ask you properly, and I hope you'll say yes. I will, she whispered, whenever you ask. Answer is yes. He kissed her, and the city glittered below them, and for one perfect moment, forever seemed possible. But forever was about to run out. Looking at them now, this woman who'd changed everything, and the mother who'd raised her to be strong, you'd think that love could conquer anything. That family opposition would soften, that danger would pass, that happy endings were inevitable. But in a world where love makes you a target and mercy makes you weak, peace is always temporary. And Selam and Ji-hoon's peace was about to shatter. If you're invested in seeing how far they'll go to protect what they've built together, stay with us, because things are about to get much, much worse before they get better. Ababech left after a week, grudgingly accepting that Selam had made her choice. The day after her mother's flight departed, everything changed. Selam was at the hospital for the first time in months. She'd insisted on keeping her cleaning job, partly for independence, partly because sitting in the penthouse was driving her insane. Ji-hoon had relented, but only with conditions. Guards watching from a distance, check-ins every hour, no deviations from routine. She was scrubbing a floor in the pediatric wing when someone sat down beside her, a Korean woman, early 50s, elegant in the way that suggested old money. She smiled kindly. "You work very hard," the woman said in accented English. Selam glanced up, wary. "Thank you. My son works hard too hard sometimes. He forgets to take care of himself." Something cold slithered down Selam's spine. "I should get back to work. Kang Ji-hoon. You know him, yes?" Selam's hands stilled on the mop. The woman's smile never wavered. "I'm his mother," she said. "We haven't been introduced. I wanted to meet the woman who's captured his attention." This was Ji-hoon's mother, the woman he rarely mentioned, who'd apparently stayed married to a monster and raised a son to be the same. Selam stood slowly. "It's nice to meet you." "Is it?" The smile turned sad. "I doubt that. My husband has been unkind about you. I wanted to see for myself." "See what? What could make my son defy his father, risk everything?" Ji-hoon's mother looked Selam over, not cruel like his father, but assessing. "You're very young, 26, and Ethiopian. Yes. Do you love him?" The directness of the question threw Selam. "Yes, even knowing what he is. I know what he's done. I know what he does, and yes, I love him anyway." Ji-hoon's mother was quiet for a moment. "My husband thinks you're a distraction, a phase, that Ji-hoon will tire of you and return to his duties. And what do you think?" "I think you're the first thing my son has loved since his wife died. Maybe longer." She stood, brushing invisible dust from her designer dress. "I also think that makes you incredibly dangerous. To him, to our family, to yourself. I'm not trying to destroy anything. You don't have to try. Your existence is enough." The kindness in her expression made the words worse. "There are plans, Selam, alliances that must be honored. My husband has chosen a bride for Ji-hoon, the daughter of an allied family. The engagement will be announced soon." Selam's world tilted. "He can't do that." "He can, and he will, because in our world, love is a luxury we can't afford." Ji-hoon's mother touched Selam's arm gently. "If you truly love my son, you'll leave. Before this destroys you both." She walked away, leaving Selam standing in the middle of the hospital hallway, mop forgotten, heart shattering. Selam didn't tell Ji-hoon about the encounter, partly because she didn't know how, partly because she was afraid of what it meant. But the conversation haunted her. 3 days later, Min Sok appeared at the penthouse while Ji-hoon was out. "Miss Selam," he said carefully, "I need to tell you something. If this is about the arranged marriage, I already know." Min Sok blinked. "How?" "His mother told me." Selam was folding laundry, the twins' onesies, impossibly small. "Is it true?" "Yes. The Choi family, their daughter Hyejin. It's been in negotiation for months since before you met Ji-hoon." Min Sok sat down, looking uncomfortable. "He's been fighting it, but his father is pressuring hard. An alliance between Kang and Choi would consolidate power, push out rivals." "Where does that leave me?" Min Sok didn't answer. "I see." Selam's hands stilled. "So I'm temporary, a distraction before he does his duty." "That's not—" Min Sok stopped. "Ji-hoon loves you. I've never seen him like this. But love doesn't change politics. Or danger." "Then what happens?" "I don't know. But there's more." Min Sok pulled out his phone, showed her a message in Korean. "This arrived this morning from the Yakuza family that tried to kill Ji-hoon. They're making threats, against you specifically." Selam's blood ran cold. "What kind of threats?" "The kind that mean they're watching you, learning your patterns. They know you're important to him, which makes you a target." Min Sok's expression was grave. Ji-hoon is trying to handle it quietly, but if they think hurting you will destabilize him. He didn't need to finish. What should I do? Leave Korea. Go back to Ethiopia. Let him focus on protecting his family without worrying about you. Min-sok's voice gentled. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's the only way to keep you safe. And if I don't want to be safe, if I want to stay with him, then you'd better be prepared for what that means, because loving Kang Ji-hoon might get you killed. After Min Seok left, Selim sat alone with the twins. Seo-yeon was napping, Min-jun playing with blocks. The apartment felt like a cage, beautiful, but a cage nonetheless. Her phone buzzed, a text from her brother Jonas. Sister, I saved enough money from my part-time job. I'm coming to visit. Arriving next week to see Korea and surprise you. No, Selim's hand shook as she typed back. Don't come. It's not a good time. But Jonas, 19 and excited and stupid, didn't listen. He was already on his way. Ji-hoon found out about Jonas's visit the day before he arrived. Absolutely not, he said. It's too dangerous. I already told him not to come, but he bought the ticket. Then I'll pay for him to cancel. Ji-hoon, he's my brother. I can't just... Selim. Ji-hoon gripped her shoulders, face intense. The Yakuza are watching you. If they find out about your family, they'll use them against us. I can't protect everyone. Then I'll take Jonas to my old apartment, keep him away from here. That's not how this works. Then explain to me how it does work. Selim's frustration boiled over. Because I'm tired of hiding, tired of living in fear, tired of being told I'm a liability when I just want to live my life. Your life is at stake. I know, and I chose it anyway. She pulled away from him. I chose you, Ji-hoon, despite everything, but you won't choose me. You'll marry that Choi woman because your father demands it, and you'll expect me to just accept it. I'm not marrying her. Your mother says otherwise. Ji-hoon went very still. When did you talk to my mother? Selim told him about the hospital encounter, watched his expression darken with every word. She had no right. She was being kind, warning me. Selim's voice cracked. Is it true? The engagement? My father arranged it. I've been refusing. For how long? Until it becomes politically necessary, until some rival threatens and suddenly marrying her is the smart move. Selim wiped angry tears. I'm not naive, Ji-hoon. I know how this ends. You'll choose your empire over me. It's what you're trained to do. That's not fair, isn't it? They stared at each other across the living room. The twins, sensing tension, started fussing. Selim picked up Seo-yeon automatically, and Ji-hoon took Min-jun, and they stood there like some broken mirror of a family. I won't marry her, Ji-hoon said quietly. I don't care what my father wants. I won't. Can you promise that? He wanted to. She could see it in his eyes. But he couldn't, because in his world, promises were meaningless against power. Let Jonas visit, Selim said finally. I'll keep him at my old apartment, away from you, away from this. He'll tour Seoul, visit for a few days, and leave. He won't even know about us. Selim, please, he's my baby brother. I haven't seen him in a year. Just let me have this one normal thing. Ji-hoon looked at her, this stubborn, beautiful woman who'd saved his life and invaded his heart, and gave in. 3 days, that's all, and my guards watch from a distance. Thank you, but gratitude felt hollow, because they both knew normal had stopped being possible the moment she'd pulled him from that lobby. Jonas arrived bright-eyed and excited, armed as excited, full of plans to see Seoul's landmarks and practice his broken Korean. Selim met him at the airport, hugged him tight, and tried to pretend everything was fine. She'd cleaned her old Gosiwon apartment, stocked it with food, borrowed money from Ji-hoon, which felt wrong but necessary. For 3 days, she played tour guide, took Jonas to Gyeongbok-gung Palace, Myeongdong Shopping District, Namsan Tower. He took selfies and ate street food and talked about university with the enthusiasm of someone whose dreams were still intact. On the third day, Jonas wanted to explore Itaewon alone. "I'm 19, not 9, he laughed when Selim protested. "I'll be fine. Seoul is safer than Addis." She let him go, watched him disappear into the crowd, tall and gangly and so young. Then she went back to the penthouse to check on the twins. That's when Min Seok called. "We have a problem," he said, voice tight. "Is your brother with you?" "No, he's sightseeing in Itaewon." "He's not. He's been taken." The world stopped. "What?" "Yakuza grabbed him 20 minutes ago. Surveillance caught it. They knew exactly who he was, exactly when he'd be alone." Min Sok paused. "They've sent demands. They want Ji-hoon to stand down, agree to the Choi marriage and cede territory, or they'll send your brother back in pieces." Salam couldn't breathe. Where is Ji-hoon? In a meeting with his father, they're deciding how to respond. "Get me there, now." She arrived at Kang family headquarters, a building she'd never been to, all steel and glass and intimidation, to find Ji-hoon in a conference room surrounded by men in suits. His father sat at the head of the table like a king. Ji-hoon's face when he saw her was anguished. "Selam, where's my brother? We don't know yet, but we're working on it." "This is your fault." Kang Dae-jung's voice cut through the room. "Your weakness for this woman brought this on us. The Yakuza know you care about her family. They're exploiting it." "Then let me negotiate," Ji-hoon said. "I'll give them what they want." "You'll do no such thing. We don't negotiate with rival gangs. It shows weakness. They have an innocent boy, who is nothing to this family." Dae-jung looked at Selam with cold disdain. "This is what happens when you indulge sentiment. People get hurt." "I'll find him myself," Salam said, voice shaking with rage. "You'll do nothing. You've done enough damage." "Enough!" Ji-hoon's voice cracked like a whip. "I'll handle the Yakuza. But Salam's brother gets returned safely. That's non-negotiable." "Or what?" His father leaned back. "You'll defy me? You'll start a war over a foreign woman's brother?" "If I have to." Silence. The other men in the room looked uncomfortable. Dae-jung smiled. It was a terrible smile. "Fine," he said. "I'll make you a deal, my son. We'll retrieve the boy. But in exchange, you announce your engagement to Choi Hye-jin, publicly, this week." "No, those are the terms. The Choi family has connections to the Yakuza's Korean partners. One word from me and the boy is released." "But you marry the girl." Dae-jung looked at Selam. "Or we let this play out naturally and your brother dies. Your choice." Ji-hoon's hands clenched into fists. Selam could see the war in his expression. Love versus duty, her family versus his empire. "Don't," Selam whispered. "Don't sacrifice yourself for Jonas. We'll find another way." "There is no other way," Dae-jung interrupted. "The Yakuza want blood or compliance. I'm offering compliance. Take it, or your brother's blood is on your hands." Ji-hoon looked at Selam. His eyes said everything. "I'm sorry. I love you. I have no choice." "I'll do it," he said. "I'll announce the engagement. Just get the boy back safely." "Done." Dae-jung waved a hand. "Min Seok, make the arrangements. And you," he looked at Selam, "leave. You're no longer welcome here." Selam turned and walked out. She made it to the elevator before the tears came. Jonas was released that night, dropped outside a hospital, bruised but alive. He claimed he'd been mugged, didn't remember much, just some men who spoke Japanese and were rough but didn't kill him. Ji-hoon's people had wiped his memory of the worst details, left him with a story he could believe. When Selam picked him up from the hospital, Jonas was shaken but whole. "Seoul isn't as safe as I thought," he said, trying to joke. Selam hugged him and said nothing. Let him think it was random violence. Let him stay innocent. She sent him home the next day. used Ji-hoon's money for a first-class ticket, made him promise to tell their mother he'd had a wonderful time. Then she watched him disappear through security and felt something inside her break. The engagement announcement went live that evening. Selam saw it on the news. Ji-hoon, in an expensive suit, standing beside a beautiful Korean woman with perfect features and a practiced smile. The headline read, "Kang heir to wed Choi family daughter in alliance marriage." He looked miserable, but he looked committed. Her phone buzzed. Messages from Ji-hoon. Dozens of them, each more desperate than the last. "I'm sorry I had no choice. Please let me explain, Selam. Please, I love you." She turned off her phone. The next 3 days passed in a grey haze. Selam moved back to her Gosewon apartment. Ji-hoon sent guards, she evaded them. He sent money, she tore up the checks. He sent Min Seok, she refused to see him. On the 4th day, she was packing to return to Ethiopia when someone knocked on her door. It wasn't Ji-hoon. It was Min Seok, and he looked exhausted. "Please," he said, "just listen. There's nothing to say. Your brother was kidnapped by the Yakuza. They threatened to kill him unless Ji-hoon agreed to the marriage. He saved Jonas's life by destroying his own." Min Seok pulled out his phone, showed her security footage. "Watch." The video showed Jonas being grabbed by men in suits, showed him being held in a warehouse, terrified and alone, showed Ji-hoon negotiating, his face cold, his voice steady, even as he was agreeing to marry someone he didn't love. Then it showed Ji-hoon afterward, alone in his penthouse, surrounded by the twins' toys Selam had bought, drinking, staring at a photo of her, looking destroyed. "He didn't choose power over you," Min Seok said quietly. "He chose your family's safety over his own happiness. He's been protecting you the only way he knows how." Selam's hands shook. "Why didn't he tell me?" "Because admitting your brother was kidnapped would terrify you, because showing weakness in his world gets people killed, because he's an idiot who thinks suffering alone is noble." Min Seok met her eyes. "The wedding is tomorrow. Choi Hye-jin knows he doesn't love her. His father knows this is killing him. But he's going through with it. For you. I don't want him to do it for me." "Then stop him, because I've watched him spiral for 4 days, and if he goes through with this marriage, he'll never recover. He'll become exactly what his father wants. Cold, dutiful, dead inside." Min Seok's voice softened. "You brought him back to life, Selam. Don't let him throw it away." After Min Seok left, Selam sat in the dark and thought about her mother's words during the coffee ceremony. Her choice is her own. She'd chosen Ji-hoon once, in the bloody lobby, in the penthouse, in her heart despite every warning. And he'd chosen her, chosen saving her family over his freedom, chosen her happiness over his own. Now it was time to choose him one last time. Selam picked up her phone and called the one person who could help. "Ime," she said when her mother answered. "I need your blessing." "For what, my daughter?" "To fight for love, for the man you didn't want me to have but who makes me whole." Silence on the other end. Then, "I didn't raise you to be safe, Selam. I raised you to be brave. Go, fight, and I'll pray." It was all the permission she needed. The wedding was at a luxury hotel in Gangnam. Traditional Korean ceremony. Hanboks, bowing, ritualized vows that meant nothing to anyone involved. Selam had never been to a Korean wedding, but she'd researched enough to know the basics. She also knew that crashing one would either save Ji-hoon or get them both killed. She wore her delivery uniform, stained, wrinkled, the opposite of wedding appropriate. She couldn't afford anything else, and honestly, she didn't care. This wasn't about looking the part. This was about claiming what was hers. The hotel guards tried to stop her. She showed them a photo of the twins. "I'm the nanny, he needs to know they're okay." And they hesitated long enough for her to slip past. The ceremony had already started. Ji-hoon in traditional hanbok stood at the altar, face blank as a mask. Beside him, Choi Hye-jin looked beautiful and miserable in her own hanbok. The hall was full of Seoul's elite. Crime families, politicians, business leaders, all here to witness the alliance. Selam pushed through the doors. Silence crashed over the room like a wave. Ji-hoon's head turned. When he saw her, his expression shattered, hope and agony and disbelief all at once. Selam walked down the aisle. Every eye followed her, whispers erupting like wildfire. She saw Ji-hoon's father stand, furious, saw Hyejin's father reach for something, a weapon maybe, saw guards moving. She didn't care. She reached the altar and looked at Ji-hoon. In the broken Korean she'd been practicing for weeks, she said the only words that mattered. Saranghae, I love you. Mianhae, I'm sorry. Please, choose. The hall erupted. Dae-jung was shouting in Korean, guards advancing, but Hyejin, surprisingly, held up a hand. Wait, she said in English, clearly for Selam's benefit. Everyone stopped. Hyejin looked at Selam, then at Ji-hoon. Do you love her? Ji-hoon didn't hesitate. Yes. More than this? She gestured at the wedding, the alliance, the empire. More than anything. Hyejin smiled sadly. Then I release you from this engagement. I never wanted it either. Chaos. Her father was shouting. Dae-jung was calling for security, but Hyejin stood her ground. I won't marry a man who loves someone else, and I won't be the reason two people who actually love each other are torn apart. She looked at her father. We'll find another alliance. This one is broken. Ji-hoon turned to Selam, took her hand. In Amharic, carefully pronounced, heavily practiced, he said, Ante gobez, fikir. You're brave, love. Then he removed his wedding handbook, took Selam's hand and turned to his father. I'm done, he said in Korean. Then in English, I'm stepping down. From the family, the business, all of it. I'm out. You walk away, you're dead, Dae-jung said coldly. Then I'm dead. But I'm not doing this anymore. He walked, Selam beside him, fingers laced together, heading for the exit. That's when the gunfire started. The Yakuza had been waiting, hidden among the guests. Weapons concealed. They'd wanted this, wanted Ji-hoon vulnerable, distracted, away from his guards. The wedding had been the perfect trap. Bullets tore through the ornate hall. Guests screamed, diving for cover. Ji-hoon pulled Selam down, covering her body with his. Stay down, he ordered. But Selam had spent 2 years in nursing school. She knew trauma protocols, and she saw one of the Yakuza aiming at Ji-hoon's back. She moved, tackled the man, knocking his aim wild. The bullet went wide, shattered a window. The man turned on her, and Selam did the only thing she could think of, grabbed her phone and dialed Detective Kim. Shootout at Grand Hyatt, she gasped. Gangnam, Yakuza weapons, major arrests possible. She hung up. By then, Ji-hoon had reached her, Min-sok beside him. They fought their way toward the exit, the chaos covering their escape. What did you do? Ji-hoon demanded. Called the police, gave them the Yakuza's location. Selam's hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. You wanted to weaken your rivals. Now they're all here, armed, at a crime scene. Massive arrests incoming. Ji-hoon stared at her, then laughed, wild and desperate and free. You're brilliant. They made it outside. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Min-sok appeared, bloodied but alive. Hyung-nim, he said, I'm taking over. Father's organization. Half the men already support me. Younger generation wants change. This is the opening I needed. You planned this, Ji-hoon realized. I needed you out. You were never going to walk away on your own. Min-sok gripped his shoulder. Go. Be free. I've got this. Ji-hoon pulled him into a brief, fierce hug. Then he turned to Selam. We need to run. My father won't forgive this. Not today. Then let's run. They disappeared into the Seoul night, sirens screaming behind them, leaving behind an empire and claiming something more precious. Freedom. The aftermath took weeks to settle. Min-sok staged a quiet coup, consolidating power while Dae-jung raged. The Yakuza members arrested at the wedding faced charges. Detective Kim finally had his breakthrough case. The Kang family fractured, younger members supporting Min Seok's more progressive leadership, while traditionalists fled or were forced out. Ji-hoon and Se-lam hid in a safe house Min Seok provided. Then, when the danger passed, they found a modest apartment, nothing like the penthouse, but theirs. Ji-hoon used his knowledge of the criminal world to consult for legitimate businesses, security, risk assessment, areas where his expertise was legal and valuable. It didn't pay like crime, but it was honest work. Se-lam finished nursing school. Ji-hoon paid her tuition. She protested. He insisted. Eventually, she accepted a gift, not charity. On the day she graduated, he was in the audience holding both twins, beaming with pride. They built a life, imperfect, complicated, but real. 6 months after the wedding, that wasn't, Ji-hoon took Se-lam to the beach. The twins played in the sand, Seo-yeon shrieking with delight, Min-jun seriously examining shells. It was a perfect October day, cool and bright. Ji-hoon knelt in the sand. "Legaba?" he asked in Amharic. "Will you marry me?" He held a simple ring, not ostentatious, not a statement of wealth, just a promise. Se-lam's eyes filled with tears. "Nay," she said in Korean. "Yes. No regrets?" he asked. "One. What?" "That I didn't crash your wedding sooner." She pulled him up, kissed him. "Everything else. Exactly as it should be." They stood there, the twins between them, the ocean behind them, and built a different kind of empire, one made of love and second chances and fierce, defiant hope. It wasn't the ending anyone expected, but it was theirs. 18 months later, Se-lam stood in a small Korean church, not one of Seoul's grand cathedrals, but a modest building that served both Ethiopian Orthodox and Korean Protestant congregations, a fusion space for fusion people. She wore a traditional Ethiopian wedding dress, white cotton with intricate embroidery at the hem and sleeves. Netela draped over her shoulders. Ji-hoon wore hanbok, deep blue and elegant. Ababesh performed the coffee ceremony as a blessing, the barika round shared among guests. A Korean elder co-officiated, reading from scriptures in both languages. Jonas walked Se-lam down the aisle, grinning. Min Seok stood as best man, holding a wobbly Seo-yeon who kept trying to eat the flowers. The ceremony was in 3 languages: English, Korean, Amharic. The vows were simple. "I choose you," Se-lam said. "Every day, despite everything, because of everything." "Iwedi halehu," Ji-hoon replied. "I love you, and I'll spend my life proving you didn't choose wrong." When they kissed, the small crowd erupted in applause. Ethiopian relatives who'd flown in, Korean friends from Min Seok's new organization, fellow nursing students, patients Se-lam had helped, twins clapping because everyone else was. The reception was a fusion feast. Injera beside kimchi, dorowot next to galbi, Ethiopian shoulder dancing mixed with Korean fan dances, imperfect and joyful. Ji-hoon's father's chair sat empty. He'd been invited but refused to come. But his mother attended, sitting in the back, silent but present. At one point, Detective Kim appeared. Se-lam tensed. "Relax," Kim said, holding up his hands. "I'm off duty. Just wanted to say, case closed. Officially, nothing stuck." He looked at Ji-hoon. "You're clean, legally." "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Thank her." He nodded at Se-lam. "That tip about the Yakuza at the wedding, biggest bust of my career. I owe you." He left. In the envelope he'd handed Se-lam was a medical scholarship, funded anonymously, she knew by whom, in her father's name, for Ethiopian students pursuing nursing in Korea. She cried. Ji-hoon held her. The twins demanded attention. As the night wound down, Se-lam and Ji-hoon danced, traditional Ethiopian shoulder dance mixed with Korean movements, neither perfect but beautiful in its awkwardness. "They said we were impossible," Se-lam murmured. "We are impossible. Yet here we are. Here we are." Ji-hoon spun her gently. Around them, their assembled family, blood and chosen, Ethiopian and Korean, Christian and Buddhist and secular, celebrated a love that defied every rule. Ababech watched from her seat, praying quietly. Jonas took selfies with everyone. Seo Yeon fell asleep on Min Seok's shoulder. Min Jun grabbed his father's leg and refused to let go. In the back, Ji-hoon's mother stood to leave. Salam caught her at the door. "Thank you for coming," Salam said. The older woman looked at her, really looked. "You saved him from becoming his father, from becoming a monster." Her voice was soft. "I couldn't do that, but you did, so thank you." She left before Selim could respond. As the celebration wound down, Selim found herself on the church steps, watching the sun set over Seoul. Ji-hoon joined her, twins in a stroller between them. "Do you think your father will ever forgive you?" she asked. "No." Ji-hoon was quiet. "But I forgive myself. That's more important." Salam leaned against him. "What happens now?" "Now, we live. We raise these two. You save lives, I consult. We argue about whose turn it is to change diapers." He smiled. "Boring. Normal. Everything I never thought I'd have. Sounds perfect. It is." They stood there as the city lights began to flicker on. Seoul, vast and indifferent and beautiful. A city that had tried to break them and failed. A city that was now home. Somewhere, Daijung was probably burning their wedding announcement. Rivals were probably plotting. Life was still dangerous, still complicated, but here, on these steps, with their children and their hard-won peace, Salem and Ji-hoon were exactly where they belonged. "Ewedi halehu," she whispered. "Saranghe," he replied. Different languages, same meaning, the only translation that mattered. If this story moved you, if you believe that love is worth fighting for, even when the world says it's impossible, we'd love to hear from you. Share this story with someone who needs to be reminded that brave choices matter. Tell us in the comments, would you crash a wedding for love? Would you choose someone your family opposed? Would you risk everything for the person who makes you whole? And if you want more stories about love that defies boundaries, about people who choose each other against all odds, subscribe to our channel, because every week we bring you tales of hearts that refuse to be told no, stories where culture clashes, where families oppose, where danger lurks, but where love, somehow, impossibly, finds a way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing that Selim and Ji-hoon's love was worth fighting for. And thank you for understanding that sometimes the wrong person is exactly the right choice. Until next time, choose bravely, love fiercely, and never, ever let anyone tell you who you're allowed to save.